Hello and welcome back to An Old Man Watches. Today I'm going to be talking about three old-time crime films. None of these three films really had enough going on in it by itself that I felt it was worth a whole video, but they at least had something worth talking about, and they all had similar titles, all got the word gang or gangster in the title, so I thought I'd bundle them together and do them all at once. The first of the three is 1938's Gang Bullets, also known as The Crooked Way. And in this film, the city police chief gets fed up of being outwitted by mob boss Big Bill, so he kidnaps Bill and stuffs him on a train out of town. Now, you may ask yourself, well, what's to stop Big Bill just coming straight back once he gets off the train? The film doesn't explain that. Instead, having not done the obvious, Big Bill takes a look around the new town he's in, decides he likes it well enough, and soon returns to his criminal ways. Now, as you might imagine, the new town's district attorney and police force aren't best pleased to get someone else's trouble dumped on them, but there doesn't seem to be much they can do about it. Big Bill and his lawyers run rings around them on every front, and soon the press is baying for the DA and the police chief to be fired, and printing accusations of corruption from an anonymous source. Can the authorities find a way to finally turn the tables on this master criminal? Well, it's 1938, which means the Hays Code applies, so they not only can, but they must. From the same year comes Gangster's Boy, in which we meet Larry, an honour roll student and star athlete. Although Larry himself is an all-round swell guy, it emerges that his absentee father is a former bootlegger. The revelation of his dad's shady past soon has the previously popular Larry on the outs with most of his peers and their parents. This despite the fact that he himself is as Dudley Do-Right as you can be. Larry's very nobility of character soon lands him in further trouble as he takes the fall for a friend who accidentally hits a cyclist while driving. The friend is the son of a judge, you see, and the accident might harm his reputation in his future. By now, Larry figures his own prospects can't get any worse, but as you imagine, he is wrong. Finally, from 1941, we have Gangs Inc., also known as Crime Inc., as well as the, in my opinion, far superior original title, Paper Bullets. At the outset of the movie, young Rita Adams sees her father, an ex-con, gunned down in front of her. She grows up in an orphanage, gets a job in a factory, and is more or less making her way in the world okay. But then the war comes, her employer starts filling defence orders, and her father's incarceration for his previous convict ways prevents her from getting the papers she needs to keep her job. Things go from bad to worse when her good-for-nothing boyfriend hits a pedestrian while driving drunk and persuades her to take the fall from him. That goes as well for Rita as it did for Larry, of course. Unlike that golden boy, however, Rita decides that if society is going to treat her like a crook, then she might as well be one. On her release from jail, she begins a scheme to wreak revenge on those she feels have wronged her and to make herself rich in the process. So all three of these films are low-budget affairs. The only one that I was able to find a specified cost for was Gangs Inc., which cost around $19,000 and $23,000 US. Even taking the highest bound of that range gives a modern-day cost of under $500,000. And the others, I suspect, were comparatively even cheaper. All three also address directly concepts of judicial miscarriage in their scripts. Though unlike the latter two films, which both feature innocent person unfairly sent to jail as a major plot point, Gang Bullets has a very different opinion about the law's failings. You see, Gang Bullets begins with a text scrawl lamenting the ineffectual laws of American society, and in particular, the laws which require presumption of innocence. Law is a game of chance, it tells us, where the rules favour the criminal. Now, I emphatically disagree with the idea that presumption of guilt would improve our legal system. But it's a subject the film will return to on several occasions, with one of the characters pontificating that these laws had made sense when a tyrant could murder a citizen for no reason, but they had lost their meaning in modern society. Now, keep in mind that this is being made in 1938, a time when both Hitler and Stalin are in power, when thinking about how true, tyrants today can't just murder citizens, actually is. I mean, it was literally happening at the time this movie was being made and claiming it didn't happen. So, about the only other thing of note in the film is the ploy by which they finally take down Big Bill. It's not exactly a scheme of infinite subtlety, but it's a solidly reasonable one. So solidly reasonable that you'll probably think of it well before the characters do. I know I certainly did. Now, in my opinion, Gangster's Boy is not a good film. It's a tedious, moralistic chore of a movie with leaden writing that makes it feel much longer than its actual 80 minutes. But interestingly, this was not the perception at the time of its release. Mind you, The film is 85 years old at this point, so times they have changed. For me, the film's only real notable feature is that it stars Jackie Cooper, then about 16 years of age. Cooper had previously been a child star at MGM, getting an Oscar nomination for Best Actor at the tender age of 9. He's still the youngest ever nominee for the award. Now, despite his success as a child actor, MGM dumped Cooper as soon as he turned 13. Now, this was apparently standard industry practice at the time. Get rid of them before they hit puberty, basically. Cooper immediately signed with Monogram Pictures, a much smaller studio that made something of a practice of snapping up formerly big names that no longer commanded the prices they once had. Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi would also do many films for them, for instance. And Cooper is fine in this, though you certainly wouldn't pick him as a Best Oscar nominee, Best Actor Oscar nominee. It is, I suspect, hard to take material like this, produced as rapidly and cheaply as this, and turn it into anything more than adequate, which he certainly manages to do. Cooper's career would continue until 1942, then go on hiatus while he served in the Second World War, before he returned to the big and small screens in 1947. He continued to act until the 80s, making guest appearances in several well-known shows of that era, such as Murder, She Wrote and Magnum P.I. He also played Perry White in all 4 Christopher Reeve Superman movies. Finally, we have Gangs Inc., or Paper Bullets as it was known in its original release, which is easily the best of the 3 films that I'm discussing today. Well, there's honestly nothing terribly innovative or exceptional about it. It benefits immensely from good performances from the leads and by some decent banter that the script gives them to exchange. Now, not all aspects of the script are as nicely executed as the dialogue, mind you. I've certainly seen worse, but the film does have a tendency to directly explain the plot to the audience, which, it's not that complicated a plot to begin with, but it probably helps to just keep the pace very high and the runtime very short, which is a thing these films tended to go for. But while Gangs Inc. itself is merely a pretty decent early 40s crime film, and at first glance not much more than that, it is notable because it proved to be the foundation stone of an entirely new film production company. You see, this film was the first production of the 3 Kaczynski brothers, who funded the movie with the profits from their successful slot machine business. The film was a big financial success, recouping about 10 times its production budget, and it established the brothers in the movie-making industry. Their company, renamed to King Brothers, presumably because they felt that name would play better with English-speaking cinemas and audiences, would go on to produce film and TV for nearly 30 years, enjoying some big commercial successes like 1945's Dillinger, as well as critical successes like 1950's Gun Crazy, which has been selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Not a bad outcome off the back of this one movie, and it's interesting to watch it from that perspective of this is a film that led to a lot more, and is tolerably entertaining in and of its own right too. Next time, the independent 2014 science fiction action offering Survivor. Nothing to do with the long-running TV game show, I promise. But that's next time. Until then, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it.